Hey warriors, welcome back to the channel. They're watching you beg, and they're learning exactly how to control you. Every time you chase someone who's pulling away, every time you over-explain a decision you've already made, you think you're showing care, showing effort, showing your value. But here's what's actually happening. You're teaching them that your self-respect has a price, and it's cheap. Here's the truth Machiavelli understood 500 years ago. The one that makes most people uncomfortable. Your words are making you weaker. Every explanation is a confession that you care what they think. Every chase is an admission that you believe they're the prize. And every time you beg, you're not inspiring compassion, you're inspiring contempt. The most dangerous people in any room aren't the loudest. They're not the ones performing, explaining, justifying their existence. They're the ones who know when to say nothing at all. They understand something that terrifies average people: the power of strategic absence. Stay with me and hit subscribe now, because I'm about to show you why the moment you stop performing is the moment you become irreplaceable. Let me paint you a picture. You text someone, no response. You wait an hour, still nothing. So you text again. Hey, just checking in. Then another hour passes and you start crafting the perfect message. Casual, funny, not too needy. You hit send. They read it. They don't reply. And now you're sitting there, staring at your screen, wondering what you did wrong. So you send one more. Did I say something to upset you? And finally, they respond. Sorry, been busy. 2 words. After you've sent 6 messages, poured your anxiety into your phone, twisted yourself into knots trying to figure out what went wrong. 2 words. Here's what just happened. You gave them all the power. You showed them that their attention is more valuable than your dignity. You demonstrated in real time that you will sacrifice your self-respect for a crumb of acknowledgement. And they learned something important about you. You can be controlled. Not through force, not through manipulation, through your own desperation, through your inability to sit in silence and let them wonder about you. You think you're being persistent, you think you're showing you care, but what you're actually doing is advertising that you're the kind of person who will always be there, always available, always waiting, no matter how little they give back. And here's the part that's going to sting. They don't respect you for it. They don't see loyalty. They see weakness. They see someone who doesn't value themselves enough to walk away. And once someone sees you that way, it's almost impossible to undo. You've set the frame. You've established the hierarchy. You're the one who chases. They're the one who gets chased. You're the one who explains. They're the one who judges whether your explanation is good enough. You're the one who begs. They're the one who decides if you're worth throwing a bone. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Read that again. Everyone sees what you appear to be. And right now, you appear desperate. You appear controllable. You appear like someone who needs external validation to feel whole. It doesn't matter what you really are inside. Your potential, your intelligence, your loyalty. None of that matters if what people see is someone who can't stop chasing, can't stop explaining, can't stop begging for attention they haven't earned from you. Now let me show you the other side. Picture someone else. They text you. You don't respond right away. They don't text again. Days pass. Silence. Then a week later, you see them at a social gathering and they act completely normal. Not cold, not passive-aggressive, just unbothered. They're engaged in conversation, laughing, confident. They don't pull you aside to ask why you didn't respond. They don't make snide comments. They don't perform for your attention. And something strange happens in your mind. You start thinking about them. Why didn't they follow up? Don't they care? Were they just being polite before? Did I misread this? And suddenly, you find yourself initiating. You find yourself reaching out. You find yourself wanting to be in their orbit because they did something most people can't do. they walked away without needing closure. If you're starting to see the game beneath the game, subscribe now, because what I'm about to show you will change every relationship dynamic you've ever experienced. This is the principle of scarcity. Economics 101. The rarer something is, the more valuable it becomes. But most people apply this to objects, to money, to opportunities. They never think to apply it to themselves. You are not abundant in everyone's life by choice. You're abundant because you haven't figured out how to be scarce. You're in everyone's messages. You're always available. You're always explaining yourself, defending your choices, proving your worth. And in doing so, you've made yourself common. You've made yourself predictable. And predictable things are never valued. They're expected. They're background noise. Let me take you deeper. Think about the last time you felt the need to explain yourself. Maybe you made a decision, changed jobs, ended a relationship, moved cities, and people questioned you. Why would you do that? Don't you think that's risky? What if you're making a mistake? And you felt this pull, this need to justify yourself, to make them understand, to get their approval. So you started explaining. You laid out your reasoning, your thought process, your backup plans, and the more you explained, the more they questioned, because explanation invites interrogation. Here's what you didn't realize. The moment you start explaining, you've already lost. You've accepted their frame. You've agreed that they have the authority to judge your decisions. You've positioned yourself as the defendant and them as the jury. And no matter how logical your explanation, no matter how well you articulate your reasoning, you will never win that trial, because the trial itself is the disrespect. The fact that you're standing there explaining yourself to someone who has no authority over your life. That's the loss. Powerful people don't explain. They decide and move. When someone questions them, they don't launch into justification. They say, "I've made my decision, and that's it." Or they say nothing at all. They understand that explaining is a gift you give to people who've earned it. Your close circle, your trusted advisors, people who've demonstrated they have your best interests at heart. But acquaintances, colleagues, family members who haven't supported you, they don't get an explanation. They get a boundary. They get silence. They get the understanding that your life is not up for debate. And watch what happens when you stop explaining. At first, they'll push harder. You're being secretive. You're shutting people out. Why won't you just tell me? This is the test. They're used to you performing. They're used to you dancing when they pull the strings. And now you're not dancing, and it's making them uncomfortable. Good. Let them be uncomfortable. Because on the other side of that discomfort is respect. On the other side of that silence is intrigue. On the other side of refusing to explain yourself is people realizing they don't have the access to you they thought they had, and suddenly wanting it more. Let's talk about chasing. This one destroys more self-respect than almost anything else. You meet someone, romantic interest, potential business partner, new friend, and there's chemistry, energy, promise. You exchange information, you reach out, things are good, then they start to pull back. Responses get shorter, availability decreases, plans get cancelled. And here's where most people make the fatal mistake. They lean in harder. They think, maybe they're going through something. Maybe I need to show them I'm still interested. Maybe if I just try a little more, things will get back to normal. So they double their efforts. More messages, more invitations, more energy. And the other person, they pull back further because they can feel it. They can feel you chasing. They can feel your need. And need repels. Desperation repels. The energy of "please don't leave me" is one of the most unattractive energies in human interaction. Here's the truth they don't teach you. The person who cares less controls the relationship, not because they're cruel, not because they're playing games, but because they're not in a state of fear. They're not operating from scarcity. They're not basing their self-worth on whether this particular person stays or goes. And that energy, that self-contained, non-needy energy, is magnetic. People want to be around people who don't need them. Sounds backward, doesn't it? But it's true. We're attracted to wholeness. We're attracted to people who would be fine without us, because their choosing to be with us feels like a choice, not a desperate clinging. So what do you do when someone starts pulling away? You let them. You don't chase. You don't flood their phone. You don't show up unannounced trying to fix things. You give them space. You mirror their energy. They pull back. You pull back further. They go silent. You go quieter. And one of two things happens. Either they come back because they realize you're not going to chase, and that absence makes them curious, makes them wonder if they miscalculated your value, or they don't come back and you've just saved yourself months or years of chasing someone who was never going to meet you where you are. Both outcomes are wins. One gives you a relationship where you're respected. The other gives you back your time and dignity. The only losing move is to keep chasing someone who's shown you they don't want to be caught. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Some of you are thinking, but this sounds manipulative. This sounds like game playing. Shouldn't relationships be authentic? Shouldn't I just be myself? And here's where I need you to understand something critical. Authenticity without strategy is self-destruction. Being yourself is beautiful. But being yourself to people who haven't earned access to you is naive. Being yourself to people who are actively exploiting your openness is dangerous. Machiavelli said, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps and a lion to frighten wolves." You need both. You need the awareness to see when you're being played, and the strength to walk away when you are. This isn't about being fake. This is about being selective. This is about understanding that not everyone deserves your full self. Not everyone gets to see you beg. Not everyone gets to see you chase. Not everyone gets to demand explanations and receive them. If this is landing, hit that like button. It tells me you're understanding the game beneath the surface, and it helps this message reach others who need to hear it. Let me give you a scenario. You're in a negotiation. Could be a job offer, a business deal, a salary discussion. The other party makes an offer. It's lower than what you want, lower than what you're worth, and they're watching you, waiting to see if you'll take it, if you'll counter, if you'll explain why you deserve more. Most people do one of two things here. They either accept immediately, grateful, eager, afraid to push back, or they launch into a lengthy explanation of why they deserve more, listing qualifications, experience, market rates, personal needs. Both responses are losses. The first is obvious. You've accepted less than your value. But the second is more subtle. By explaining, you've entered a negotiation where you're proving your worth. You're the one making the case. And the longer you talk, the weaker your position becomes, because you're acting like someone who needs this deal more than they do. Now, watch the power move. They make the offer. You pause. You don't react emotionally. You don't look excited or offended. You simply say, "That doesn't work for me," and you stop talking. Silence. They'll fill it. "Well, what number did you have in mind?" Now they're asking you. You name your number, calmly, confidently, and then you stop talking again. They might counter, they might not. But here's what's changed. You haven't explained. You haven't justified. You've simply stated what you will and won't accept, and you've left them to decide if they value you enough to meet you there. And if they don't, you walk. No hard feelings, no bitterness, no explanation about how they're making a mistake. You just walk. Because you understand something fundamental. There is always another table. There is always another deal. There is always another person. But there is only one you. And the moment you start begging to be chosen is the moment you forget that you're the prize. This applies everywhere. Romantic relationships, friendships, family dynamics, professional settings. The people who command respect are the people who are willing to lose the deal, lose the relationship, lose the opportunity, rather than lose themselves. They understand that begging yourself into someone's life creates a relationship built on pity, not desire. And pity is not sustainable. Pity doesn't create loyalty. Pity creates resentment on both sides. Let's talk about what happens when you stop begging. At first it feels uncomfortable. You're used to seeking approval. You're used to smoothing things over. You're used to being the one who reaches out, who tries harder, who makes it work. And suddenly, you're not doing that anymore. You're sitting in the discomfort of not knowing if people will come back. You're sitting in the uncertainty of what happens if you stop being the glue that holds things together. And some people won't come back. Some relationships will dissolve. Some opportunities will pass. And this is where most people break. They interpret this as failure. They think, see, I knew if I stopped trying, people would leave. But what they're missing is this. The people who leave when you stop begging are the people who were only there for what you gave, not who you are. They were never your people. They were energy vampires. They were users. They were people who'd learned they could take from you without giving back, because you never required reciprocity. Good. Let them go, because on the other side of that clearing is space. Space for people who value you. Space for relationships built on mutual respect. Space for people who don't need you to perform to stay. And those people? They'll show up differently. They'll reach out. They'll initiate. They'll meet you where you are. Because they're not looking for a servant. They're looking for an equal. But here's the part that requires real courage. You have to be willing to be alone for a while. You have to be willing to sit in the silence while the right people find you. Most people can't do this. The moment they stop chasing and nobody immediately replaces those connections, they panic. They go back to old patterns. They reach out to people who've already shown them exactly who they are. They settle for crumbs because the emptiness feels too heavy. Don't do that. Sit in the emptiness. Get comfortable there. Because that emptiness is not a void. It's a clearing. It's space. It's possibility. And the people who can sit comfortably in their own company, who don't need constant external validation, who can go days or weeks without performing for anyone, those are the people who become magnetic. Those are the people others gravitate toward, because they've stopped leaking energy into the void of other people's indifference. Now, I want to address something specific. The fear of being seen as cold. The fear of being labeled as too much, or too distant, or hard to reach. Here's the reframe you need. Those labels only come from people who are upset they can't access you the way they want to. Think about it. The people who truly value you never call you cold. They never accuse you of being distant. They understand boundaries. They understand that you have a life, priorities, standards. The only people who weaponize those labels are people who are frustrated that you won't bend to their terms. Let them be frustrated. Their frustration is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself, to your peace, to your standards, to your self-respect. And if maintaining those things requires you to be cold in someone's eyes, so be it. Better to be cold and respected than warm and walked over. Better to be seen as distant than constantly available and never valued. Better to be hard to reach than easy to forget. Machiavelli understood that power is perception. It's not about what you actually have. It's about what people believe you have. And when you stop begging, stop chasing, stop explaining, you create a perception of someone who doesn't need validation. You create a perception of someone who has options. You create a perception of someone whose time and attention are valuable, and perception becomes reality because people start treating you according to what they perceive. Here's a real-world example. Think about celebrities. Think about high-status individuals. Think about people everyone wants access to. Notice something? They're not the ones sliding into DMs. They're not the ones sending follow-up texts. They're not the ones explaining their choices to tabloids and critics. They exist. They create. They move through the world, and people chase them. People analyze them. People create entire narratives about them based on scraps of information. Why? Because scarcity creates value, mystery creates intrigue, and silence creates projection. When you don't explain yourself, people fill in the gaps with their own narratives, and often those narratives are more generous than anything you could have said. When you don't chase, people assume you have options, because people with options don't chase. When you don't beg, people assume you have abundance, because people with abundance don't beg. You're creating the same effect on a personal level. You're not a celebrity, you're not famous, but you can create the same dynamic in your immediate circle by refusing to be common, by refusing to be predictable, by refusing to be the one who's always there, always available, always performing. And watch what happens. Watch how people start treating your time differently. Watch how people start respecting your no's. Watch how people start seeking your approval instead of you seeking theirs. It's not magic, it's just psychology. It's just understanding that human beings place value on what's rare and dismiss what's abundant. So how do you build this? How do you go from where you are now? Maybe you've been the chaser, the explainer, the person who's always trying to prove their worth, to someone who commands respect through absence. First, stop responding immediately. I don't care if you saw the message. I don't care if you're free. If someone reaches out, take time before responding. Not days, not playing games, but hours. Build in space. Let there be breathing room between contact. This does two things. It trains people that you're not at their beck and call, and it gives you time to respond from a place of intention rather than reaction. Second, stop explaining decisions you've already made. This is crucial. If you've decided something, it's decided. You don't need consensus. You don't need approval. You inform people if they need to know, but you don't justify. Practice the phrase, "I've thought about it, and this is what I'm doing." Then stop talking. Let the silence do the work. Third, never chase someone who's pulling away. This is the hardest one, because your instinct is to fix it, to reach out, to understand what went wrong. But here's the rule. If someone is pulling away, you pull away faster. You match their energy, and then you go one level lower. They text once a week, you text once every 2 weeks. They cancel plans, you stop making plans. You become a mirror, and either they notice and adjust, or they don't, and you have your answer. Fourth, become comfortable with people being upset with you. This is the ultimate freedom. When you stop needing everyone to like you, to approve of you, to understand you, you become unstoppable. People will be upset that you have boundaries. People will be upset that you're not as available as you used to be. People will be upset that you've changed. Let them be upset. Their discomfort is not your emergency. Fifth, build a life so full that no single person's absence destroys you. This is the foundation of everything. If your entire sense of worth is tied up in one person, one job, one opportunity, you will always be vulnerable to manipulation. But if you have multiple sources of meaning, multiple relationships, multiple interests, no one person can hold you hostage. You have options, and options are power. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. You're in a relationship. Romantic or friendship, doesn't matter. Things have been off. The other person has been distant, flaky, low effort. Old you would panic. Old you would reach out more, try harder, ask what's wrong, suggest ways to fix it. New you notices. And new you pulls back, not out of spite, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. You stop initiating, you stop planning, you stop filling the silence, and you wait. And here's what usually happens. Either they notice your absence and step up, or they don't. If they step up, if they start initiating, if they start putting in effort, if they start showing you they value you, then you've reset the dynamic. You've shown them that your presence is not guaranteed. You've shown them what it feels like when you withdraw, and that memory will stay with them. They'll think twice before taking you for granted again. But if they don't step up, if they don't even notice you've pulled back, then you have critical information. You've learned that they were comfortable with you doing all the work. You've learned that they were fine with a one-sided dynamic. You've learned that they don't actually value you the way you value them, and now you get to decide, is this acceptable to me? Can I be in a relationship where I'm optional? Can I be in a dynamic where my absence doesn't matter? For most of you, the answer should be no, and that's okay. That's not being difficult. That's not being demanding. That's having standards. That's understanding your worth. And the moment you start operating from that place, the moment you start treating your time, your energy, your presence as valuable, everything shifts. People sense it. They might not be able to articulate it, but they feel it. They feel that you're different, that you're not scrambling for their attention anymore, that you're not explaining yourself into exhaustion, that you're not chasing when they pull away. And that shift in energy creates one of two responses: attraction or elimination. Either they're drawn to this new version of you, or they eliminate themselves from your life because they can't control you anymore. Both outcomes serve you. One gives you better relationships, the other clears space for them. Now let's talk about what happens in professional settings. You're working with someone, a boss, a client, a colleague. They've gotten used to a certain dynamic. They make requests and you deliver. They set deadlines and you meet them. They demand explanations for your choices and you provide them. It's been working, sort of. Except you're exhausted. Except you feel undervalued. Except you're doing twice the work for half the recognition. Old approach: work harder, prove yourself more. Show them they can't function without you. New approach: strategic withdrawal. You start working to the boundaries of your role, not beyond. When they make a request outside your scope, you don't immediately say yes. You say, I can do that, but it will require adjusting these other priorities. Which would you like me to deprioritize? You're not refusing, you're not being difficult. You're making them confront the reality that your time and energy are finite resources. When they question a decision you've made within your authority, you don't launch into justification. You say, I assessed the situation and made the call I thought was best. Happy to discuss the outcome, but the decision is made. You're not being defensive. You're not being arrogant. You're simply refusing to operate as though your judgment needs constant approval. And watch what happens. At first, they might push back. They might test you. But if you hold the line, if you remain calm, professional, unbothered, they'll adjust. Because you've changed the frame. You've demonstrated that you're not someone who can be guilt-tripped or pressured into violating your boundaries. You've demonstrated that respect is not optional. Some of you are thinking, but what if they fire me? What if I lose the client? What if this backfires? Here's the truth. If your job security depends on you having no boundaries, you're already in a losing position. If a client only values you when you're a doormat, they're not a good client. You're not building leverage by being endlessly available and pliable. You're building resentment and burnout. Real leverage comes from being excellent at what you do and being someone who can't be pushed around. That combination is rare. That combination is valuable. Let me take you even deeper. There's a concept in psychology called intermittent reinforcement. It's the most addictive behavioral pattern in human experience. It's why people gamble. It's why people stay in toxic relationships. It's why people keep checking their phones. The idea is simple. If you reward someone every time they do something, they get bored. If you never reward them, they give up. But if you reward them sometimes, unpredictably, inconsistently, They become obsessed. Now, I'm not telling you to manipulate people, but I am telling you to understand this. Your consistency is making you boring. When you're always available, always responsive, always accommodating, people stop valuing you because there's no mystery, there's no uncertainty, there's no risk of loss. You've removed all tension from the dynamic. But when you're sometimes available and sometimes not, when you sometimes respond immediately and sometimes take days, when you sometimes say yes and sometimes say no without explanation, you've introduced uncertainty, you've introduced tension, and tension creates attention. People start wondering about you. They start thinking about you when you're not there. They start valuing your presence because they can't predict it. This doesn't mean being erratic or unreliable with things that matter. If you commit to something, follow through. But in the realm of casual interaction, in the realm of social dynamics, in the realm of who gets your time and attention, be unpredictable, be scarce, be someone people can't quite figure out. Here's what most people get wrong about all of this. They think it's about being cold. They think it's about not caring. They think it's about building walls and keeping everyone out. That's not it. This is about selective investment. This is about caring deeply about the right people and being indifferent to everyone else. This is about pouring your energy into relationships that reciprocate and withdrawing it from relationships that drain. You're not becoming heartless. You're becoming strategic. You're not becoming closed off. You're becoming selective. You're not becoming difficult. You're becoming someone who understands their value and requires others to demonstrate they understand it too. And the beautiful thing about this approach, the right people love it. The right people aren't intimidated by your boundaries. They're not put off by your standards. They're not frustrated by your selective availability. They respect it. They understand it. They operate the same way. And when two people who understand their value come together, whether in friendship, romance, or business, the dynamic is completely different. There's no neediness. There's no game playing. There's mutual respect, mutual effort, mutual appreciation. But you'll never attract those people if you're operating from scarcity and desperation. You'll never attract high-value relationships if you're advertising low-value behavior. Like attracts like. The energy you put out is the energy you get back. If you're chasing, you'll attract people who run. If you're begging, you'll attract people who withhold. If you're constantly explaining yourself, you'll attract people who constantly question you. But if you're self-contained, if you're unbothered, if you're someone who knows their worth and doesn't need external validation, you'll attract people who operate the same way. And those relationships, those are the ones worth having. So here's your challenge. For the next 30 days, practice these 3 principles religiously. Never beg. Not for attention, not for affection, not for opportunities. If someone doesn't see your value, your begging won't create it. It will only diminish you in their eyes and in yours. Never chase. Not people who are pulling away, not opportunities that require you to abandon your dignity, not relationships that only exist when you're doing all the work. If it's meant for you, it won't require a chase. It will require presence, not pursuit. Never explain. Not to people who haven't earned that level of access. Not to people who are looking for ammunition. Not to people who are going to judge you regardless of what you say. Save your explanations for people who've proven they're on your side. And in place of those 3 things, build silence, build space, build scarcity, build value. Become someone whose time matters. Become someone whose attention is earned, not assumed. Become someone who is comfortable walking away from anything that doesn't serve them. This is how you build silent power. This is how you become rare in a world of common. This is how you go from being chosen to being the one who chooses. And once you cross that threshold, once you truly internalize that your presence is the prize, not something you have to beg someone to accept, you'll never go back. People will notice. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're different. They'll say you're not as warm, not as available, not as easy to reach. Let them say it, because what they're really saying is, you're not controllable anymore. You're not predictable anymore. You're not someone I can take for granted anymore. And that's not a loss. That's a win. That's evolution. That's you finally understanding what Machiavelli knew. The appearance of power is power, and nothing appears more powerful than someone who needs nothing. Nothing is more magnetic than someone who is complete within themselves. Nothing is more valuable than someone who is rare. So stop begging for a seat at tables that don't deserve you. Stop chasing people who don't run toward you. Stop explaining yourself to people who've already decided who you are. And start building a life so full, so rich, so self-contained that your absence is felt more than your presence ever was. That's silent power. That's rare value. That's the Machiavellian truth they don't teach you, but that you need to learn. The moment you stop needing people is the moment they start needing you. Subscribe if this transformed how you see yourself. Drop a comment telling me which principle hit hardest, begging, chasing, or explaining. And share this with someone who's still performing for people who don't deserve the show. They need to hear this. Walk away from this video different. Walk away understanding that you are not obligated to be accessible. You are not obligated to be understood. You are not obligated to prove your worth to people who should already see it. Your only obligation is to yourself, to your peace, to your standards, to your self-respect. Protect that, guard that, build from that, and watch how everything else falls into place.